Marvel Champions is one of my favorite games of all time, so keep watching on your cell phone because this character has fireworks, a grand finale, an old dude who says "bub" a lot, and I guess we're going to the mall with Jubilee. So I'm going to do this review a little bit different here, a little bit backwards, but I do want to tell you what I think about Jubilee a bit. But yeah, Jubilee, I love X-Men, I love Marvel Champions. So Jubilee obviously was a given. I love having her as a character. She has interesting stuff because her main ability is that she can exhaust to give you a wild resource, which is awesome, but her stats kind of suck. But she's able to get out that shopping spree to be able to boost her stats a bit, and she has all this different stuff. I feel like a lot of times it's hard to get her to do exactly what you want, but you can kind of get her a little bit more powered up as the game goes along, and she can play really big bombastic cards. She comes with Justice as her set there, so she's really good at removing Thwart, but I would love to build a deck with her in Aggression where she can play those huge events where she could do a lot of extra damage. She has some really cool allies in the deck as well. I do think that Husk is amazing because Husk basically has abilities where you can spin different resource types to be able to give her different stuff like boost her stats, or be able to give her healing her, or being able to unexhaust her. And the fact that Jubilee can create wild resources means you can basically do whatever you want with Husk, which is awesome. And of course, having Wolverine as a signature ally is really cool. I do like the fact that she has a grand finale, which can do a bunch of extra damage if you have a bunch of different energy types. Those things are all fun and feel very explosive and bombastic for Jubilee. But yeah, let's take a look at how all the cards work. I'm going to tell you my score and a little bit more review at the end of this, so make sure to stick around for that. But let's take a look at all of these cards. Let's get down to it. All right, let's take a look at Jubilee here. So, Jubilation Lee. This is 3 recruitment, Mall Rat. Action, search your deck for the shopping spree player side scheme, put it into play, limit once per phase. And we'll talk about that in just a second there. And here she has 1 thwart, 1 attack, 2 defense, which is pretty bad stats overall. Of course, she has 9 hit points. And then, like Totally, exhaust Jubilee, generate a wild resource. And that is in fact amazing. So being able to play bigger cards is always better. And then let's take a look at the shopping spree here. So this threat cannot be removed from this scheme by heroes or allies. Alter ego action, exhaust your identity, remove 1 threat from here. Any player may trigger this ability. That means that this card is going to be even better the more players you play with, because then you can have people exhausting to be able to go on that shopping spree. When defeated, the player who defeats this side scheme searches their deck and discard pile for an item card and puts it into play. What items does Jubilee have that she can get? Well, she can get Jubilee's Coat. It's a 2-cost upgrade. She gets +1 thwart, helping her stats a bit there. After you play a thwart event, exhaust Jubilee's Coat. Remove 1 threat from the scheme for each different resource type used to play that. So making those thwart events even better. And then Jubilee's Sunglasses, 2-cost upgrade. Jubilee gets +1 attack. After you play an attack event, exhaust Jubilee's Sunglasses, choose an enemy, deal 1 damage to that enemy for each different resource type used to play that event. Once again, boosting up those attack events, which is awesome. Firecracker here is a 2-cost event. This is an attack, hero action, deal 4 damage to an enemy. If you paid for this card using 2 different resource types, stun that enemy. Stunning an enemy is always awesome, especially when you're playing solo, because basically hey, time walk, we get an extra turn. Let's do that. Grand Finale, this is a 3-cost event. Deal 2 damage to an enemy for each different resource type you used out of all the different resources. You may pay for this card, choose an enemy, deal 2 damage to it. That's awesome. So it deals 2 damage, then does a bunch of extra 2 damages to an enemy based on that. Grand Finale, and one of the games I played was the last card I used to beat the final boss, and it felt very fitting. Blinding Flash, this is a 3-cost event. This is a hero action. Choose X enemies, where X is the number of different resource types used to play for the enemy event. Stun and confuse each chosen enemy, which once again is great for doing solo as long as they don't have Stalwart or whatever, which you probably should play with that if you're advanced in the game. Flash of Light, this is a 2-cost event. Hero action thwart, remove 3 threat from a scheme. If you paid for this using 2 different resource types, which you normally do, confuse the enemy. Once again, more ways to confuse and slow the enemy down. Then we have some energy resources here. Plasmoid Energy with those resource types, with these resource types, and then another with this resource types. And then we have Wolverine. What's up, bub? This is a 4-cost ally, 1 thwart, 3 attack, 2 consequential damage, which is to take note of. Wolverine's attacks gain piercing, so he goes straight through toughness. After you change to alter ego form, heal 3 damage from Wolverine. So he has 4, so he can attack with this once without dying, and then you flip over, heal him up, and then he can go right back at it. And doing 3 damage forever, if you're careful, is amazing. So Wolverine is great. It does cost 4 though, but she's got the resources to do it. Husk is also amazing here. This is a 4-cost ally, 2 thwart, 2 attack. Those both have asterisks. Interrupt. When Husk uses a basic power, spend up to 3 resource types. If you spend at least 1, if you spend a energy or a power one, you get +1 power for the use of this. So that means you can boost the stats on the basic attack. If you spend this science, you get to heal 1 damage, which is amazing, so you can keep her around forever if you do it right. And then if you spent the fighting, you can ready her after this use. So you can end up discarding a lot of your hand, or at least 3 resources from your hand, to be able to make Husk awesome. Then we have Chamber here, the 4-cost ally as well. 2 thwart, 2 attack with an asterisk there. Chamber takes -1 consequential damage after he attacks a confused enemy, which of course, Jubilee has a bunch of stuff to be able to confuse people, so that's awesome there. So that is Chamber. The next here we have X Generation. This is another player side scheme, 0 victory condition. Each X-Men gets +1 thwart while making basic thwarts against this scheme, which is cool. Each player may search their deck and discard power for an identity-specific event and add it to their hand. That is great. And then we have Disguise here. Play under a player's control, max 1 per player. Exhaust this and remove 2 threat from a scheme. This is an action thwart. Exhaust Disguise. And Exhaust Disguise and your identity remove. So this allows you to remove threat even though you're in alter ego form because you're disguised. You're a little bit sneaky there. That's pretty cool. 3 steps ahead. This is a 3-cost event. Hero action thwart. For each different resource type you use to play this card, you can choose a scheme and remove 2 threat from it. So allowing you to get a bunch of threat out of there. Then Waylay, I love this card. This is a 3-cost event. Attack after your hero thwarts. Deal 4 damage to an enemy. 7 damage instead if the thwart removed the last threat from a scheme. Boom. 3-cost event dealing 7 damage. Seems good to me. And it's a response. And then this is Power of Justice. This allows you to double your energy it produces for justice cards. We have Sync here. This is a 3-cost ally, 1 thwart, 1 attack. Play only if your identity is X-Men, which we know. Interrupt. When you use a basic power, exhaust this one, and you get +1 to that basic power use. Cool, so you can kind of keep her in play without her dying off. X-Gene, which we've seen before. You can exhaust this card to generate a wild resource for identity-specific event. And look at Rogue there, being awesome. This Cell Phone is a 2-cost upgrade. Exhaust Cell Phone to remove 1 charge counter from here. Choose a player. That player makes a basic attack or thwart. Character they control, that character gets +1 thwart and attack. So there's a bunch. So even though Jubilee has terrible stats, there's a bunch of cards in this deck that can help her boost up those stats when she does those basic thwarts and attacks. Then Multi-Talented, this is a 3-cost event. Hero action, if you paid for this event using at least 1 of these things, you can, if it's physical, deal 2 damage. If it's science, remove 2 threat from a scheme. If it's energy, heal 2 damage from your identity. So lots of different things there, especially when you're able to get that wild resource to kind of do exactly what you want. Unlikely Duo, this is a 2-cost event. Team up Jubilee and Wolverine. Confuse an enemy and deal 4 damage to a confused enemy. Nice. And of course, once again, confusing can help you mess up the enemy. Then we have our obligation here. I don't normally like to go too deep into all of the Nemesis stuff because I like people to discover that on their own. But you can pause the video, rewatch it, or anything like that to be able to see how these cards work for yourself. But yeah, lots of interesting things in there can mess up all sorts of stuff, make allies kind of crazy. And then the extra cards here, we have Mutant Mayhem. This is an alliance. That means multiple people can pay for the cost. Choose an X-Force ally and an X-Men ally and return them to their owner's hands. Those players will play those allies ignoring their resource costs. Basically healing up your guys, which is great. So exhaust with them, take them in your hand, throw them back down, exhaust with them again. You can do all sorts of crazy shenanigans with that. That could be amazing. Serve and Protect is a 2-cost event. Alliance. Hero interrupt when any amount of threat would be placed on the main scheme. Exhaust X-Force character and an X-Men character prevent that threat and give each of those characters a tough status card. Nice. That seems good. Unlikely Duo again, so this is for the Wolverine deck if you're playing with Jubilee and Wolverine. Then you have Arcade, which is a villain set that you can play with, an encounter set you can play with, which adds Arcade to the game. And once again, I don't like to go through the bad cards because, you know, you can discover them. You can check them out. You can have them pop up when they come up. But that is Jubilee. Let's take a look at my final score and what I think. Jubilee for me is an 8.5 out of 10. I really enjoy what she brings to the game, and I just love having more of the X-Men characters in the game as well. She does have like pretty weak stats overall. She doesn't have a ton of hit points. She doesn't hit super hard or doesn't thwart super hard unless you have other cards in there that kind of help her do that. But she does have all of the extra resources with all of her energy that she has. She can just play really big, bombastic cards. I feel like she's going to work good in a lot of different aspects. If you're playing her in leadership, you can play huge hero or allies out there and doing all sorts of stuff to help you combo together that. In aggression, she's going to have these huge aggression events she'll be able to play. In justice, she's going to be able to play these big thwart events. One of the cards I love in this deck is Waylay. When you take out the last of the threat off of a scheme, it's really cool to be able to do that 7 damage. That is huge, especially for Justice, who is not known for doing as much damage. Of course, there's plenty of cards that can do anything because there's so many cards out there. But yeah, I enjoy her stuff. I enjoy the fact that she feels so thematic. She's doing shopping sprees. She's got a cell phone card in there. It just feels very much like Jubilee to me. So 8.5, I think is an excellent. I think if you enjoy Marvel Champions, you already know whether or not you're going to be getting this deck. And it's just another one to add to the list of characters you can play. I think being able to play this solo, any character that can confuse and stun is going to be wrecking stuff in solo. And she has a decent amount of that. So if you're able to spam that stuff or combo that stuff together, that'll also be amazing. Anyway, I really enjoyed Jubilee. Make sure to leave in the comments down below what heroes you really want to see added to the game. Also, let me know if you enjoyed this review format with a little bit of mixing it up, trying to keep it exciting, trying to keep you entertained as we go along. Anyway, I've been Roy Cannaday. Thanks you so much for watching this video, and I'll see you on the next one.
Hey folks, thanks for watching another one of our videos. If you like our videos, if you like our channel, you would love to game with us at one of our conventions. Check out Dice Tower Cruise, Dice Tower East, and Dice Tower West. Fantastic conventions where we play games with wonderful people, a humongous library, and lots of other events and stuff. Also, don't forget to check out our channel, like and subscribe. I'm Tom Bassel.